They said the Grand Azure Hotel never made mistakes. They were wrong. Tonight, under the blaze of crystal chandeliers and the heavy perfume of rare blossoms, Ethelgard's elite gathered for the wedding of Alistair Blackwood, heir to a shipping empire, and Seraphina Dubois, the queen of curated perfection. Champagne flowed, jewels dazzled, and every whispered conversation was a negotiation of status. In the midst of this glittering spectacle stood Alara Vance, her sapphire blue dress simple, elegant, and painfully out of place. While others dripped in designer excess, Alara's quiet grace made her stand out in a way that wealth could not imitate. Seraphina spotted her immediately. With a sharp smile and a predatory glide, she cut through the crowd, trailing bridesmaids like a royal procession. The ever-hovering photographer eagerly clicked away, immortalizing every calculated moment. "Alara, darling," Seraphina purred, her voice dripping sugar and venom. "I didn't realize the staff was allowed to attend the ceremony." Laughter bubbled around them. Alara remained calm, presenting a small, recycled paper-wrapped gift. "I came to congratulate you, Seraphina." Seraphina tore the package open theatrically, revealing an intricately carved wooden box. She smirked. How quaint. Cracking the lid, she found a delicate antique locket inside. For a flicker of a second, her face tightened, but then she laughed, loud and cruel. "A thrift store gem? You shouldn't have." Nearby, a bridesmaid whispered loudly, "Isn't she the charity case from university?" Alistair shifted uncomfortably, but Seraphina pressed on. "It's touching, really, how some people cling to their humble beginnings." As if summoned by the atmosphere, a waiter stumbled, splashing champagne across Alara's dress. Gasps and hushed insults rippled through the crowd. Someone muttered, "Security should handle this." A uniformed guard appeared almost instantly. "Ma'am, I'm afraid you'll need to leave." Alara allowed herself a small, enigmatic smile as she turned to follow him. Around her, the murmurs grew louder. "Probably came for the free food. That dress looks secondhand." Seraphina raised her glass high. "Let's toast to knowing when to rise above old acquaintances." The crowd roared with laughter as Alara reached the towering entrance doors. But just as she touched the handle, a valet rushed in, breathless, speaking urgently to Mr. Thornton, the hotel's manager. His face drained of color. "Stop her," Thornton shouted, stunning the room into silence. Seraphina frowned, annoyed. "Geoffrey, what on earth?" Thornton bowed hastily to Alara. "Ms. Vance, please accept my deepest apologies. This is a grave error." The guest stiffened, confused. Seraphina's laughter rang out, brittle and forced. "You're joking, right? It's just Alara. She's nobody." Thornton's voice shook. "Ms. Vance owns the Grand Azure Hotel." A collective gasp rolled through the crowd like thunder. All the opulence, the towering venue, the glittering ballrooms, belonged to the woman they had just humiliated. Seraphina's face paled. "That's impossible." Before anyone could respond, a valet handed Alara a sealed envelope. She opened it with a flick, scanning the contents calmly. Then she looked up, her smile cool. "There's been a mistake, Seraphina. You see, your wedding reservation has been canceled." The crowd froze. Alistair blinked, stunned. "What do you mean?" Alara addressed Thornton smoothly. "Please prepare the executive suite for a private discussion." "At once, Ms. Vance," he stammered. Seraphina lunged forward, desperate. "You can't do this. It's my wedding." Alara's eyes glinted with quiet power. "You're right about one thing, Seraphina. Not all stories end in fairy tales. Especially not for those who forget where they came from." She turned gracefully, walking back through the silent crowd, while Seraphina stood frozen, her perfect world crumbling, live and on display for all the city's elite to witness. The Grand Azure chandeliers shimmered above, as if silently applauding the real queen of the night. The details of what transpired in that executive suite remained private. But downstairs, the wedding guests grew increasingly restless, their social media feeds buzzing with speculation and conjecture. After nearly an hour of tense silence, the elevator doors finally opened. Alistair emerged first, his face ashen. Serafina followed, her eyes red and her meticulously applied makeup streaked with tears. Finally, Elara stepped out, her sapphire dress still bearing the champagne stain, but her posture radiating an undeniable aura of control and power. The orchestra abruptly ceased playing as Elara walked to the center of the ballroom. Mr. Thornton swiftly handed her a microphone. "Good evening, everyone," Elara began, her voice clear and resonant. "For those of you who may not recognize me, I am Elara Vance." Beatrice Sterling, the tech CEO who had earlier mocked her, whispered loudly, "The charity case in the cheap dress." Elara smiled faintly. "Actually, I am the CEO and founder of Phoenix Holdings Group, which owns this hotel and approximately 70% of the premier luxury establishments in Ethelgard." A stunned silence descended upon the room. "I have also, as of last week, become the majority shareholder in Blackwood Shipping, which, technically, makes me Mr. Blackwood's ultimate superior." Alistair stared at the floor, unable to meet the gaze of the astonished guests or his father, who had just entered the hall, his face a mask of shock. More pertinently, Elara continued, her gaze sweeping across the room, "Serafina and I share a history that extends far beyond our university years. We grew up in the same district of Oakhaven." She paused meaningfully, not in the affluent West End, as Serafina has consistently claimed, but in the East Side, in the public housing projects. A fresh wave of whispers erupted. Serafina, whose carefully constructed identity as the heiress of a venerable family was now crumbling before their eyes, began to tremble visibly. 20 years ago, when we were children, Serafina's family faced a catastrophic financial crisis. The individual who extended the lifeline that prevented them from utter ruin? My grandmother, Eleanor Vance. Elara gestured, and Mr. Davies approached with a tablet. A series of digitized documents appeared on the large screens flanking the ballroom. The loan was never repaid. In fact, through a series of fraudulent transactions and shell corporations, the Du Bois family effectively absconded with a significant portion of my grandmother's life savings. My grandmother, who placed her trust in them, lost everything and passed away without ever seeing justice. Serafina stepped forward, her voice hoarse with desperation. "That's a lie. My parents are... Your parents are currently assisting the authorities with their inquiries into a rather extensive pattern of financial irregularities, Serafina," Elara interrupted gently. "As is your brother, who, coincidentally, runs a digital marketing firm that has received a suspiciously large volume of overpriced contract from Blackwood Shipping over the past few years." Alistair's eyes widened in dawning horror. I had no idea any of this was happening," he stammered, looking at his father, who stood ashen-faced in the doorway. "I believe you, Alistair," Elara replied softly, "which is precisely why your wedding cannot proceed today." The assembled guests, who had so readily participated in mocking Elara just moments before, now watched in stunned silence. Several attempted to discreetly slip out of the back exits, particularly those who had been most vocal in their derision. "For those of you who found amusement in my humiliation this evening," Elara continued, her voice calm yet cutting, "I must inform you that every word, every laugh, every insult was meticulously recorded by the hotel security systems. These recordings will be made available to the human resources departments of your respective organizations first thing tomorrow morning." Beatrice Sterling's champagne glass slipped from her trembling hand, shattering on the marble floor. As the CEO of a company that championed inclusivity and diversity, the footage of her ridiculing a successful black woman would be devastating. "My intention here is not to ruin lives," Elara clarified, her gaze steady. "It is to rectify a profound injustice and, perhaps, to instigate a moment of collective introspection about the superficiality of judging individuals based on their outward appearance, about the inherent worth of every human being, regardless of their social standing, about what truly constitutes value." She gestured towards the pedestal where Serafina had discarded the locket. That thrift store brooch you so casually dismissed, Serafina, belonged to the celebrated aviator, Amelia Stone. It is the final piece in a collection my grandmother painstakingly assembled. Its monetary value is considerable, upwards of $5 million. But its true value lies in what it represents. A woman who defied expectations and soared to extraordinary heights through sheer determination and courage. Serafina sank into a nearby chair, her face a mask of defeat. Alara calmly made her way towards the exit, pausing briefly to retrieve the antique locket. As she reached the doors, she turned one last time. The wedding is officially canceled. However, the hotel will provide a full complimentary dinner for all present. After all, there is no reason for perfectly good food to go to waste. As the doors closed behind her, a flurry of cell phone flashes illuminated the hall, no longer focused on the disgraced bride, but on the elegant figure departing with the quiet dignity of royalty. What none in that room could yet comprehend was that Alara Vance's true influence extended far beyond this hotel, this city. The events of this evening were merely the opening notes in a symphony of change that would forever alter the perceptions of a world so quick to judge by appearances. The following morning, the unraveling of the society wedding dominated every news outlet. Serafina's once flawless social media profiles were inundated with comments exposing her fabricated background and the hollowness of her online persona. Hashtag Serafina Unmasked and hashtag Phoenix Rising became global trending topics. In her penthouse apartment overlooking Ethelgard, Alara sipped her morning tea, the city awakening below her. Her phone buzzed incessantly with interview requests and messages from long-lost acquaintances seeking to reconnect. She ignored most, replying only to a text from Alistair. Alara, could we meet today? I need to talk. 3 hours later, they sat in a quiet cafe far from the city's glittering center. Alistair looked, the events of the previous night etched into the deep circles under his eyes. I didn't know, he began, his voice barely above a whisper. About Serafina, about my father, about any of it. Alara nodded gently. I believe you, Alistair. My family's company, it's collapsing. They've uncovered other irregularities. My father, he could face serious charges. He ran a hand through his disheveled hair. The irony is, I always wanted to work in sustainable energy research, to focus on projects that truly benefit the community.